In this video, I'm going to be covering the psychology of self-discipline, the neuroscientific approach of how you, an unproductive, potentially lazy, undriven person can be disciplined, wake up every single day, clear out the to-do list and finally make progress in the endeavor you wish to succeed in. Hello, I'm Dylan, I'm 18 and I coach unproductive people to turn productive using tactical techniques and strategies that changed my life forever. I personally went from someone who spent 5,000 hours or 210 days straight wasting my life away on Call of Duty and other such video games, but now I've turned it around. I effortlessly and easily boost through large amounts of my work, for my business, education, personal development goals, and it's using strategies like I'll teach you in this video. It's using the mechanisms of the brain to my advantage to hack my self-discipline, to make it easy, to understand the psychology of how I work, why I work, what I'm doing this for, and then utilizing that to be disciplined, to be productive, to be driven to complete the tasks I set myself. And after this video, you'll have the exact same advantage on your side. Just before we get in, if you're looking to get more help from me on a more personal level, I can hold your hand through the trials and tribulations with the top link in the description. It will take you to my productivity package. It's exactly what I prescribe to all the people I work with, and it will help you turn productive. It includes exclusive productivity guides from my personal phone number so I can help you one-to-one, and an award-winning physical planner for you to plan your days productively. If that sounds interesting, check it out. So discipline is based up of two parts of the brain. So you have the prefrontal cortex, which is the main section of the brain that allows you to focus, allows you to work with concentration. Next, you have the limbic system. This system is impulse driven. It craves instant gratification, and during your attempts to be disciplined, you have the battle between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. These two are going head to head to try and get you to either instantly gratify yourself, to eat the food when you want to play the games when you want to scroll your phone when you want to, versus the prefrontal cortex, which is trying to steer you towards the focused, concentrated, long-term planned work that you know you need to get done. So in this video, we're going to be strengthening the prefrontal cortex, making it stronger than the limbic system so you can delay the gratification, so you can finally do what you need to get done and not fall victim to seeking comfort, to seeking stimulation. And this will override impulses. This will override distraction. This will override your unfocused banks of time that you spend during the day that you can finally turn productive. So how to build discipline? There's a cue response reward system we're going to be talking about. So the work you want to get done, you need to go for a run. It's a lovely day, you need to get a couple of kilometers under your belt so you can improve your fitness. That's the work you need to get done. Your limbic system wants you to sit down, to scroll, to be relaxed, to consume the food that you know tastes good. However, your prefrontal cortex is battling for control for long-term planned success in the endeavor of running. How can you build discipline? Cue. Get running shoes on. We're going to utilize dopamine. So dopamine is the motivation hormone. When you feel motivated, when you feel this drive to get the work done, to do the things you need to do, that's dopamine being secreted into the brain, allowing you to be productive. And in order to release this dopamine, in order to strengthen the prefrontal cortex by continuing to do the work, especially when we don't want to do it, you need the cue, response, reward system. So the cue is to get your running shoes on. To get the specific pair of shoes you go running in, get the running shoes on. That's the cue. Your brain will then secrete a little bit of dopamine from completing the task. Then the response you need to enact is running. You need to do the hard work, especially when you don't want to, and you need to run. You need to go out, you need to run. And then after you've completed the task, the most important part is the reward. The reward for you, a productive reward, could be a nicer lunch. So your cue, get the shoes on, then you go running, and then you reward yourself with a nicer lunch. You usually have sandwiches, now you had beef and rice, etc. So you've cued, you've responded, you've rewarded, and you're strengthening the prefrontal cortex, but also creating this neurological link between running and reward. You've delayed the gratification, now you've got the gratification, your brain's going to go, you know, that tastes really good. We just had a really nice lunch that we don't usually had. What got us to that result? It's running. So next time you go running, you have the cue of putting your shoes on, your brain secretes dopamine, you run, in which your brain is now motivated to do because it knows the reward at the end of the run is a nicer lunch. So therefore your brain releases more dopamine as you're running, makes you feel more motivated, more disciplined, more driven to get the run done because it knows there's a reward at the end of the delayed gratification, because your prefrontal cortex, the long-term planning part of your focused brain, has been strengthened by the repeated cue response reward system. And if you find this hard, you can utilize the pre-commitment trick. So this trick is really useful. Implementation intentions to reduce decision fatigue. Intentively, actively make the decisions that make the next day easier or make the work easier to complete. For example, so we're talking about this running shoe. We're talking about running. The night before, put your running shoes, put your running gear right next to your bed. So when you wake up and you know you have to get the run done, it's statistically easier to get it done. So because you've made it easier, statistically, you're 42% more likely to complete the discipline task, to enact the response that we need to get done, the run, because you've made it easy. There's less decision fatigue. You don't have to find your clothes. You set them out the night before. It's a 42% chance you're more likely to do the activity. There's the pre-commitment hack. Utilize it, be intentional, implement the things that are going to make your life easier, make it easier to complete the work, and you'll get it done easier. Less friction. Another example could be you need to get work done on your laptop. You need to do this specific bit of work for your business. Maybe it's making a website. The cue is opening your laptop. The response is making the website. The reward could be a nicer lunch. It could be a sweet snack, maybe some nuts and honey. It could be allowing yourself to watch YouTube, allowing yourself to watch something, to stimulate yourself in some way, whether it be eating something, consuming something, etc., etc. Maybe it's a nice coffee. The reward needs to be abnormally good. So something you don't usually do to make it big enough for your brain to realize that it's something we need to take notes on. So the cue is open up your laptop, the response is making the website, the reward is a nicer lunch. And then next time you do it, you open your laptop, a bit of dopamine secreted. You're doing the work for your business, more dopamine secreted because it knows the long-term gratification reward is something we really enjoy. It's something we want to have. And therefore, as you're doing the work, you're more disciplined, you're more driven, you're more motivated to do it because you know the reward is at the end. The cue, open a laptop, the response, do the work, the reward, something nice that you don't usually have. Boom, discipline is made. Do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Do it for weeks and weeks in a row. And 21 days down the line, you have built discipline. So then when you open the laptop, even if you don't reward yourself at the end, you'll still have a motivation to do the work. You'll still find the work easier to do because your brain is linked delaying gratification with reward. Your prefrontal cortex is now in control. The limbic system has been pushed to the side and you are finally self-disciplined. So now you've defeated the limbic system, your prefrontal cortex is in control and you're finally disciplined. However, if you've not reached a result, if you're struggling to implement the advice that I've just given you, I can hold your hand through the trials and tribulations. I can apply them directly to your life. If you work with me one-to-one in the description, you'll get all the benefits I spoke about earlier and I will help you personally. If that sounds interesting, check it out. But I appreciate you for watching. Take action.